It was a bitter, bone-freezing January night in the remote woods of rural Maine. Snow blanketed the ground in silence, and not a soul stirred on the long stretch of road that led to Sarah's house. She was 19, a college sophomore spending the weekend alone, while her parents were out of town visiting relatives. The isolation didn't scare her until that night. At exactly 11:34 p.m., she heard it. A knock, soft, deliberate, coming from the back door, a door that no one ever used. She froze in the living room, the TV flickering muted reruns behind her. Slowly, she crept toward the kitchen window, her breath fogging up the cold glass. No one was there. Assuming it might have been a tree branch or wind against the frame, she shrugged it off until it happened again. This time at the front door. Louder, harder, more urgent. She turned off the lights, heart hammering in her chest, and dropped behind the couch. Then she heard it. A voice, low and raspy, sliding through the mail slot like a snake. "I saw you." Panic surged through her. She grabbed her phone with trembling hands and dialed 911. The dispatcher assured her officers were en route, but they were at least 15 minutes away. Then came the worst sound of all. Creaking floorboards above her. Her blood turned to ice. There was only one way into the attic. From inside the house. No stairs, no ladder, just a small, barely used hatch in the ceiling of the hallway. She hadn't opened it in months. Still clutching the phone, she silently moved toward the hallway and looked up. The attic hatch was ajar. Moments later, flashing red and blue lights filled the windows. The police entered and cleared the house, room by room. They approached the attic with guns drawn and yanked the hatch fully open. Inside, crouched in the dark, was a man, filthy, wide-eyed, clutching a knife and a bag that contained rope, duct tape, and a rag soaked in chloroform. He had broken into the house hours earlier while Sarah was out getting groceries. He'd been hiding in the attic, silently watching, waiting for the perfect time to strike. Tom and Jenny had just moved into their small, one-bedroom apartment in a quiet part of downtown Chicago. It was their first home together, a fresh start after months of planning. The building was old but affordable, tucked in a neighborhood that looked peaceful, at least on the outside. It was 2:07 a.m. when their peaceful sleep was shattered. Bang, bang, bang. Heavy fists slammed into their front door, hard enough to rattle the frame. Tom jolted upright in bed, his heart instantly racing. Jenny clutched his arm, barely able to breathe. Then came the voice, deep, angry, and unhinged. "Let me in. I know she's in there." Tom rushed to the door and shouted back, "You've got the wrong place. There's no one here by that name." But the voice didn't stop. It grew louder, more frantic. The man outside began screaming a woman's name, over and over, like a broken record. Then came the sound of metal hitting wood. The door shattered inward. Standing in the doorway was a wild-eyed man in a torn hoodie, sweat pouring down his face, gripping a crowbar like it was a weapon forged for vengeance. His eyes scanned the apartment like a predator. "Where is she? Where is she?" Before Tom could react, the man stormed inside. Jenny screamed and ran for the bathroom, slamming and locking the door just as the man passed her. Tom tried to block his path, yelling that they didn't know who he was or what he was talking about. But the man was beyond reason. He started smashing furniture, chairs, picture frames, lamps, screaming that they were hiding his girlfriend, claiming he had followed her here. He cornered Tom against the wall, crowbar raised, trembling with rage. Just as Tom thought he was going to die, sirens wailed outside and the red-blue lights spilled through the broken window. The police burst in and immediately ordered the man to drop the weapon. He refused. He kept muttering her name under his breath, like he couldn't even hear them. They had no choice. They tossed him on the spot. He collapsed to the ground, twitching, foam at the corners of his mouth. Later, the officers told Tom and Jenny that the man was mentally unstable, off his medication, and believed his missing girlfriend was being kept in various apartments in the building. He didn't just live nearby. He lived 3 doors down the hall. And according to other neighbors, this wasn't the first time he had knocked on the wrong door. It was just the first time he broke it down. It was a quiet Friday night in a peaceful suburban neighborhood when 22-year-old Lisa agreed to babysit for the Hendersons' 6-year-old twins. The street was calm, the air crisp with a gentle breeze, and the house sat on a well-lit corner lot, seemingly safe. By 9 p.m., she had tucked the kids into bed upstairs. The house was still. Lisa curled up on the couch with her phone and some leftover pizza, enjoying the silence. Then came the first tap. Light, subtle. It came from the living room window just once. Lisa glanced up. Probably the wind, she thought. A few minutes later, tap, tap. This time louder, more deliberate. She put her phone down and slowly approached the window.
Outside, the porch light glowed softly and the lawn was still. Nothing unusual. But the feeling that someone had just been there was impossible to shake. Trying to calm her nerves, Lisa walked to the kitchen for a glass of water. That's when the lights flickered. Not just once, several times, as if the power was being played with. She paused, unease crawling up her spine. The kitchen was quiet, but not empty. As she turned toward the microwave, she caught a reflection in the glossy surface. A face, a man's face, standing right behind her. Lisa gasped and spun around. Nothing. No one was there. Heart pounding, she ran toward the staircase when suddenly the kids screamed from upstairs. She bolted up and threw open the bedroom door. The window was wide open, curtains billowing in the wind. One of the twins, pale and shivering, whispered, "A man came to the window. He tried to come in, but he said he'll be back." Lisa slammed the window shut and called the police. They searched the property but found no footprints, no signs of forced entry, just an open window. The intruder was never caught. There were no cameras and the kid's description was vague, just a shadowy man with long arms and a wide smile. But for the next 7 nights, Lisa saw him. Every night, just after dark, she would spot a figure standing across the street, perfectly still, facing the house, watching, waiting. And then, as suddenly as he appeared, he was gone. But Lisa never babysat again.